Hello and good morning everyone, and thank you for joining our LiveTiles webinar today. So we are joined here by Lee Ralph and Chris Chin from LiveTiles, who will be going through the webinar with you. And then we also have Saj Rafiq from Byte Software Services, who will be talking about the relationship between LiveTiles and Byte shortly.
Thank you, Amy. Welcome everyone. Hopefully everyone can hear me. My name is Saj Rafiq. I'm one of the Office 365 cloud specialists here at Byte. I don't want to go too much about Bytes, but I think it's important to understand a couple of things. Firstly, why Bytes? And Bytes are probably sold just over 1 million seats of Office 365. We're one of Microsoft's #1 partner of licensing of Office 365 licenses in the UK. In the last couple of years, we've seen a big change in the way people not just purchase Office 365, but the way they are deploying Office 365, and especially SharePoint. One of the things that has come out is, it's the old saying, a user interface is like a joke. If you have to explain it, then it's no good. And that's what people want to do. I'm finding that users are becoming more demanding to the IT team and wanting something that they can be proud of, but something that they can use very simply. That's why we're really happy to partner up with someone like LiveTiles, which allows SharePoint to make SharePoint really simple to use. But more importantly, gives you the set of tools for you to create that user interface, not having years and years of experience of learning how to do programming, but just simple drag and drop. And I don't want to spoil LiveTiles' presentation, so I just wanted to say, yeah, we're seeing a lot of demand for these type of tools, and that's why we've partnered up with people like LiveTiles. I'm going to pass over to Lee Ralph, who's going to show you a little bit about LiveTiles, explain what LiveTiles is and do a little demo. And right at the end, there'll be a Q&A session, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Okay, over to you, Lee.
Thank you, Saj. Hello, welcome and good morning, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to join our webinar on this Thursday morning. My name is Lee Ralph, and I'm the EMEA Lead for LiveTiles. I'm also here with my colleague Chris Chin, who's one of our customer success managers. And I'd just like to thank you all again for taking the time and to thank Bytes for hosting the session this morning. We'll start off with just 1 or 2 slides that will help me explain what LiveTiles is, literally 2 slides, and then we'll move into a demonstration of the product. And we're really proud to actually show how quick and easy it is to build a digital workplace today in front of you on the webinar. That will form 2 parts. We'll actually build a static digital workplace and review some of the apps and some of the capability of LiveTiles, and then we'll very quickly move on to a responsive page, which is one of my favorite things, where we can show how to build for modern tablet and mobile devices. But firstly, on slide 1 of my only 2 slides before we go into the demo, I'd like to highlight what LiveTiles is. So LiveTiles is a digital workplace designer and solution for Office 365, SharePoint, and Azure. Lots of people talk about digital workplaces and next generation workplaces in the market at the moment, and some of the thought leaders are really promoting them into the marketplace. So I like to define them so we can be really specific and talk about specific things you can achieve with the LiveTiles platform. So an example of a digital workplace is a social intranet, a combination of structured and unstructured content using SharePoint and Yammer, for example. It could be an innovation portal, which is actually quite a common digital workplace requirement that we see in retail. It could be digital news publishing, so a way to present more engaging news and more targeted news to our user bases, enabling people to opt in and out of certain news streams and then collaborate and share thoughts through social channels about those news feeds. It could be a digital university or a learning management system. We're working with some very high-profile retailers across the globe at the moment to help them build digital universities so they can better coach and train their staff and give them more of a career and actually reduce their staff turnover, or STO as they call it. Or it could be a store portal as you think about engaging deskless colleagues, whether they're out on a manufacturing floor or out in a retail outlet, a way to enable those deskless colleagues that aren't necessarily au fait with IT to connect and collaborate through something that's really, really good looking and easy to get to grips with. So we really care at LiveTiles that these digital workplaces, and those are just some examples, I'm sure you can come up with your own, but we really care that those digital workplaces are really, really easy to use, really, really engaging, really striking, and really represent our customers' corporate branding, and that they respond and work nicely across mobile devices. We also really care that they're created very, very quickly, and I'll come on and talk about this on the next slide, but LiveTiles has revolutionized the way that you may create a digital workplace and has enabled you to deliver a solution such as a social intranet in just hours and days, as opposed to weeks and months that you may have done in a typical IT project. So what is LiveTiles from a tactical point of view? LiveTiles is actually dozens of pre-built apps. I think there's around 30 to 40 apps that you can drag and drop on a responsive design canvas to create your digital workplace, which is effectively a collection of those apps that meets your requirements. It also includes a responsive canvas, as I mentioned, enabling you to create a mobile responsive page actually as easy as creating a table in Microsoft Word, and we're going to illustrate that today. So this enables us to cater for our deskless workers or remote workers or road warriors and enable them with digital workplace solutions, so we're all getting much more out of our investment in platforms such as Office 365. So just move on to my second and final slide before we move into a demonstration. So why does LiveTiles exist is actually a response to trends that we've identified in the marketplace. So we had a professional services company for about 12 years, and we delivered about 50 to 60 projects a year for 12 years, so in excess of 500 or 600 projects across the globe, building effectively social intranets on the SharePoint platform, going from 2003 to 2007 to 2010 to BPOS to Office 365. And to cut a very long story short, we noticed some very core trends in the industry where customers were asking for very similar things. We evolved the LiveTiles product as a part of repackaging some of these common requirements that we noticed in the marketplace and started creating the apps, or what we now know as LiveTiles apps. And in our consultancy business, we would then go to a customer and ask them what they wanted, and we'd get common feedback such as a news carousel, a digital phone directory, maybe somewhere to access my policies and procedures, and perhaps a social feed to collaborate with my colleagues. Some of the core requirements we'd see on intranets. So instead of building them time and time again, we thought, well, let's appify them, let's template some of this capability. And then we realized that if we could show a customer the art of the possible, so a solution relevant to them in their industry, then they would identify with that and perhaps ask to tailor it a little bit to meet their requirements, which enabled people to get a solution much, much quicker than starting from a blank sheet of paper. And those of you that know SharePoint or have worked with SharePoint in the past will recognize the wheel on the left-hand side, or the donut on the left-hand side, which talks about some of the very technical core capabilities of the platform, from sites and communities and search and composites. But what we've learned is that if we show customers apps and capabilities and solutions, they're able to build solutions much, much quicker. So LiveTiles works very, very nicely with respect of Office 365 multi-tenant evergreen cloud technology. We see the more traditional ways of delivering a solution on Office 365 becoming riskier and riskier as we look into the future. Now, what I mean by this is Microsoft reserves the right to update their patterns and practices in the Office 365 platform. So that means if you've created a custom solution, you need to be aware of these patterns and practices so you can update the solution to be future-proof and ever compatible. Well, LiveTiles removes that need because LiveTiles is an app that's deployed to your Office 365 environment, and then we update actually new features and new coding practices nightly. We update minor modifications on a bi-weekly schedule, so that's fortnightly, and then we release new versions of the product at least once a quarter. So it's a really nice way to have a future-proof product at the core of your digital workplace solution. My next piece is about deployment examples. So whilst we see a higher risk in a multi-tenant world of doing bespoke things, that doesn't mean that partners aren't required. We generally have two types of customer in LiveTiles. Some customers that say, okay, I've seen it, I get it, we've got some competent resources, or we're actually going to hire a contractor from the marketplace, and we're going to use LiveTiles to deliver our own digital workplace solution because we can see a route through to that, and that meets our budget, timescales, and to be frank, the culture of our organization. So that's one extreme of a project delivery type. The other extreme is where a customer says, okay, I get it, I see that it's important for evergreen and multi-tenant to have a product at the core of our solution, and I can see the benefits of our internal teams taking a template and cascading it out and making different flavors for different departments as we look 3 or 6 months into the future. However, initially, I would like an expert to help come and set it up for me. So in LiveTiles, we have over 142 partners globally. We have about 38 in EMEA and 12 here in the UK, and we're able to introduce the right partner to that customer to help them get up and running if that suits their needs. We also have training delivered by the industry standard in SharePoint and Microsoft product training, and that's combined knowledge, and that they also enable customers to get up to speed very, very quickly. So that was my second of 2 slides. I'm now going to jump in to a product demonstration. So what we're looking at here is an intranet. And I'm going to run through this intranet over the next 5 or so minutes just to give a very brief, quick, rapid flavor of how LiveTiles works at a conceptual level. Then I'll hand over to my colleague Chris, who's one of our customer success managers, that will actually run through a more detailed demonstration, and we'll actually build a responsive